to Straight Out of Avernus, a Baldur's Gate 3 podcast. My name is Drew, I am one of your hosts, and here with me, as always, is my pal, my good buddy, my companion, you could say. Origin character option 2. My pal Andrew. How's it going, mate?
Very nice intro there. I like that a lot.
Just came to me just there.
Yeah.
How's it going, mate?
I am good. How are you?
Not too shabby, my friend. Ready to talk about some more Baldur's Gate action.
Absolutely. We're going to start off with just a bit of news they released after the panel from Hell. We thought that was it. There can't possibly be more. There's not going to be more new stuff they're going to tell us about. Surely.
There can't be more.
How wrong we were.
I mean, I don't understand where all this news is coming from.
I don't understand how they can release so much and tell you so much about it, yet also so little. Still have more secrets to give. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. So come on, what was released in this community update?
Yes,
I kind of gave up, Andrew. I'm going to admit.
There's a lot of.
I was like, there's too much news. I cannot keep up with this.
There's a lot of news. There's people who were at the panel for Hell are uploading their videos about stuff they saw that wasn't in the panel, and it's a lot. There's been like developer updates through tweets. I'm not
used to this level of info from game developer studios.
But they did release a community update on Steam, yes. Which has a lot of character creation stuff in it, which we will talk about next time. So I guess the first thing in the community update after the character creation part is they mentioned this panel from Hell. You're going to be able to respec your classes pretty much at any point throughout the game once you meet a certain character. And maybe this is a bit character creation-y. But you meet a certain character in the game, and at any point after that, you give them a bit of money. If you're not happy with a choice you've made in respect to your build, you can change it.
I think this is great.
It is great, and because it allows you to play about with your ability scores, your class levels, your spell choices as well.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, Andrew, but having played some games where I get to a point where I'm just not happy with my choice, and maybe it could just be a little tweak that I need.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get it on the right track. But then the alternative in the older kind of games is I have to go all the way to the start again.
Either go all the way to the start, or find a previous save that you've somehow not overwritten. But then you're losing heaps of gameplay and content that you're going to have to do again. So this is a perfect way around that. I think the only thing you cannot change is your race. And I think the same is for your companions when you recruit them. If you make a choice with their build that you're not happy with, you can respec. Next up is your favorite topic. Experience Baldur's Gate 3 through new eyes as a playable, pre-authored Origin character. It's the Dark Urge.
In the bin.
So we discussed the Dark Urge last week. So we're gonna skip that. We're gonna skip right over that.
Who is this guy? Get rid.
The next section in the community update is headline. It's a beautiful headline. Love in the Time of Tentacles. So yeah, it's just a big section about romance basically. But this bit they highlight on a character called the Guardian. Have you not heard this bit?
Did we say spoilers at the end of this episode?
I think we said spoilers in episode 1. So if you've got this far, spoilers.
Yeah. The Guardian. Who's this?
The Guardian. So you know when you make your character, the character creation.
Yes.
And then after that,
who are you?
After that, you make another character who's like shows up in dreams and kind of like seduce you and maybe try and make you use your tadpole powers. They're called the Guardian. And you can, apparently you can meet them in-game as well, so it's not just... I thought it was maybe just the tadpole luring you.
That's what I thought. That's what I initially thought, but now that... I think I'd heard about this Guardian, and now I have different thoughts. I'm interested that they did this they released this as like community updates. Like they could have easily have left this as something you discover in game. But well, hey, there you go.
Yeah, but yeah, you can meet this Guardian. What's your theories on the Guardian?
Okay, right. My theory is that the Guardian character is nothing to do with the Illithid and Mind Flayer stuff.
Okay.
I have a feeling that they are actually maybe celestial or some sort of angel character, because we've seen celestials in trailers.
We have.
We've seen some sort of angel being, and my theory is that they are actually trying to save you from the Illithid tadpole. Because some of the dialogue they say and some of the things that like you can do, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And I think that their influence over you is separate.
Okay, so I thought maybe they were the kind of voice in your head telling you to succumb to the Illithid. Maybe I've misunderstood some of the voice lines they have in the early access that we've experienced. Just an excuse to go and play it again.
I think. Yeah, exactly. But I think so much is going to be different when we actually get to play.
Mm-hmm. I thought they might have something to do with the Absolute, or maybe they're like the opposite of the Absolute.
Maybe.
So anyway, yes, and that's in the romance in the Time of Tentacles section. So there might be some romance options there with this Guardian as well. How do you feel on crafting, Drew?
Yes, please.
Alchemy is in the game.
Good.
You know all those plants and ingredients you could pick up in the early access that you could do nothing. You could do nothing with.
Just fill up my inventory. Why'd I pick it up? I just did.
Yep. Potion making. So there's a few things on the little screenshot here that I can see.
Yeah.
You've got an elixir of arcane cultivation, greater. Don't know what the hell does that do. You've got elixir.
I'll be getting spell slots back.
Possibly. Elixir of resistance to fire. Fairly self-explanatory.
Yeah, self-explanatory stuff.
Elixir of vigilance, maybe some sort of dexterity boosting or wisdom boosting thing.
Perception boosting, yeah.
A web grenade. Spider-Man.
That makes 100% sense. Is there anything else this game does not have? Guns.
They're artificer coming soon.
Yeah. Come on in. What else is next?
Meet the third major villain of Baldur's Gate 3, Orin the Red. This is
interesting.
Murder lady.
She sounds very interesting, and I've heard about her, and she can kind of take the form of your companions. She's a shapeshifter.
Yeah, a shapeshifter murderess.
So
I imagine that's going to come into play if you leave a companion behind at camp and take some more out on adventuring. One day you're going to go back to camp and your companion's going to be someone else.
I'm excited for this lady. I'm excited to see what they pull.
Split screen co-op multiplayer.
Yep.
Which, good. Good. I don't think I'm probably ever going to use it, but it's good to have that there.
Sure.
And there's also the controller option instead of mouse and keyboard. More on the cinematics. 174 hours of cinematics. 2,000 characters to interact with.
2,000.
2,000 characters to interact with. And
that's too many characters.
If you're a druid or someone who has the animal speak with animals spell,
yeah,
more characters to interact with because you can speak with animals.
2,000 animals, 4,000. Oh my god! More news.
More. Don't worry, you can stream it.
Oh yeah, this is nice.
There's some people have expressed concern, and rightly so, over streaming the mature content within this game.
Mm.
And you might get banned.
Cowards,
you might get banned.
That's what I call them.
Might get banned from Twitch for showing off a lot of what we've already seen. But there's two new user options within your options menu: show cinematic nudity and show genitals.
Excellent.
There you go. Excellent. So you can tick those boxes to tick your boxes.
Computer, set genitals to on.
Exactly. That's all the news. What's news?
That was a lot of news. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for that news. So, Andrew, my friend, my companion, my comrade, today we just kind of want to talk about the characters that are the companions that join your Tav, your main character, on their quest as they journey through the Forgotten Realms and deal with their problems. Because I think now with the stage we're at, we've played with these characters in early access, we've gotten to know them.
Yep, most of them,
and now we know that a lot of them are going to be changing in some big ways.
Yes.
So I think it'll be a good time just to kind of let's just talk characters, man. Let's talk about what we like, what we don't like, who they are, what's their deal. Let's start at the beginning of the alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
With an It's a vampire guy.
Oh God.
It's Astarion.
I've not heard that one before. That was very good.
It's a Sesame Street joke.
Yeah, I know.
So, let's talk Astarion.
Mm-hmm. Who is Astarion, Drew?
Astarion is a high elf, and he is a rogue. He's in the rogue classing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, bless him, Larian Studios, great bunch of guys, but they don't do secrets very well.
Yeah, they're just like, here's Astarion. By the way, he's a vampire. Don't tell anyone. It's a secret.
Yes, so when you meet Astarion, he is kind of like a pompous, arrogant, up himself, kind of noble-y character. And when you get in conversation with him, he insinuates that he's from Baldur's Gate. Astarion is definitely like, I found him quite a lot in the initial stages of the game. But he's like a massive fan favourite, like, in the community.
Yeah, he is.
People love him. And I think it's because he is the bad boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like him, but depending on what kind of playthrough I'm doing, I will not hesitate to not have him in my party. He's not a must-have for me.
He's a character that I think as you get to know him in early access anyway, as he kind of opens up, he's actually a very damaged man.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, he's a slave essentially.
Yeah. So he's not a vampire proper. That's in D&D lore. He's not a true vampire. He's what's known as a vampire spawn, and they are essentially the servants of like a higher vampire, a greater vampire. And because of the plot, because of all these characters have mind flare tadpoles in their brains that are kind of changing how they are, Astarion is able to do things that he's never been able to do in hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yes, like walk in daylight, cross
rivers. I mean, vampires in D&D follow the traditional vampire rules. They can't enter buildings. So Astarion's a free man, essentially.
Yeah, there's a line of dialogue where he enters a building if you're kind of just with him, and it's not a cinematic, it's just as you're going about. He enters a building, which is someone's home, and he makes a comment on, I can enter this building without being invited. Something like that. Again, if you didn't already know he's a vampire, he's telling you.
There was a dialogue, just a conversation you can overhear. And it was Shadowheart saying that she really missed the fish in Baldur's Gate. She missed like all the fish you could have. And Astarion was like, "Oh, I missed the red meat. I wanted very, very what's it called? Is it rare?
Rare, yeah.
He's just like rare, dripping. It's like, all right, come on, Astarion. But there's a really great scene early on if you kind of open up to him a bit where he tries to drink your blood, and it's quite it's a really good scene between you and Astarion. So what do we know about Astarion? What's his deal?
So he is a vampire spawn to a master vampire called Cazador.
Yep.
Who is apparently a resident in Baldur's Gate, and I believe in one of the trailers we saw the outside of his home.
Yeah.
I believe we saw Astarion outside of Cazador's home, kind of looking at it. I don't know if we saw Cazador. We might have done.
We've seen him in stuff.
Yeah, so Cazador is going to be, I assume, somebody that we can meet in the game who's going to be like a villain or a mini boss you have to fight, and completely remove his control over Astarion that way.
I reckon that's going to be Astarion's quest, like his
that's
quest.
going to be a main goal. Or if you really don't like Astarion, you might be able to ally with him, put Astarion back under his control fully. Who knows? Because that is the kind of thing you could probably do.
We already know that Cazador's sending people to find Astarion. Because there's a part in the game where you come across a hunter or a bounty hunter, I guess.
Yeah.
Who is looking for Astarion, and you can actually hand Astarion over to him.
You can, yeah.
So there's the levels of what Cazador is willing to do to get him back. Another interesting thing about Astarion is he has an infernal pact on his back.
Yes, you noticed this. I didn't notice this. I noticed the runes on his back, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, so there is a romance sequence with him where he is trying to examine. He can't read them because they're on his back. But that's a very interesting part about him, that he's linked to the Nine Hells in some way.
Some way, he's another character with a link to the Nine Hells. Yeah,
there's a deal written on his skin.
Yeah, I imagine maybe is that something to do with vampirism?
I don't think so. I wouldn't think so. I think if it's an infernal thing, maybe Cazador has used Astarion as a deal. Maybe that's why he wants him back so badly.
Oh, potentially. And the Mind Flayer Tadpole is affecting that, and whoever Cazador's made this deal with isn't happy.
So yeah, Astarion. I think one thing about Astarion that's quite challenging is that when you play with him in your party, and just in general, he's quite a selfish character, and he doesn't go for when you get approvals as you go, and characters can approve on your actions and approve on what you're up to. And Astarion is selfish and very. If you're trying to do the good thing, trying to put yourself in harm's way for other people, Astarion disapproves.
Yeah, and it's not that he's a bad guy, but he won't like it if you put yourself or your party in harm's way for someone else's gain. Yeah,
and I wonder if he'll change, because some characters kind of do soften and kind of change in the early access. Well, it depends on which way you want to go. It depends.
Yeah.
Because one thing that's interesting about him is that he insinuates early on that he wants to control the Mind Flayer Tadpole in his brain.
Yes, he doesn't really want to get rid of it, and anytime you suggest getting rid of it as opposed to learning to live with it and control it, he disapproves of that.
So Astarion, he's quite a complex character. I mean, all the characters are complex, but Astarion, especially with all the things that are laying in front of him, and presented to you, he's a vampire, he's got an infernal contract on his back, he's being hunted, he's in this kind of new rebirth, and he's going through all these kind of experiences for the first time in a long time. So, that's Astarion. That lovable rogue, the Han Solo of the group. Andrew, who is Gale? Tell me about Gale.
Gale is a human. He is one of the human companions you can get, and he is a wizard.
He's a wizard, Gale.
Which is, a full spellcaster, but Gale has a bit of a secret to him as well. They all have secrets to them. Gale has one ambition: to become the greatest wizard Faerun has ever known. And in his quest to do so, he's stumbled a little bit, hasn't he?
He's done fucked up, son.
He has indeed.
I've flip-flopped on Gale quite a lot. I remember meeting him. I was like, I love this guy. He has my favourite line delivery in.
Yes,
in all of Early Access.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Where he says,
we quoted to each other quite a lot.
Where he says, "Ceramorphosis.
It is to be avoided."
Yes, and Gale definitely portrays himself as a good man.
Yes, he comes across that way at first glance. Yeah,
he's very noble and very. He wants to be seen to be doing the right things, and he kind of wants to be. Oh, I have a story about that where I was in Waterdeep and I did exactly what you did.
Yeah, and he's he's very very intelligent. Obviously, he's a wizard. They kind of have to be. Quite sure of himself and his own abilities.
Yeah.
When you first meet him, he, depending on what class you are, when you first meet him, he expresses that you need to find a healer, and he then kind of says to you, he's just like, "You're not a wizard, are you?" But if we need to find a healer or something like that. And if you're a cleric, you'd be like, oh, I'm a healer. He's like, there's a whiff of magic about you.
he's kind of that, like Astarion's like kind of smarmy and confident and charming in that way, but Gale is charming.
Yeah.
He's arrogant, but but very charming. He's not the traditional wizard with like an old beard and a hat.
No, he's young. And
he's not crusty either.
Attractive?
Yeah, Gale's hot, man.
There you go.
And the thing about Gale that it's about all the companions actually that I find very interesting is that Gale is the one that you're definitely sure he has to have been a higher level before the tadpole was inserted in his brain.
Oh, surely.
Because with the things he's talking about in his backstory, he has to have been like 20th level
yes.
wizard.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed last time with the Dark Urge and how if someone approached you with that character, you'd be like, no, rewrite it. If someone approached you with Gale's backstory, you'd be like, you're level 1.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, let's get into his backstory. So Gale, when you meet him, when he opens up to you and explains things to you, he fell in love with Mystra, the goddess of magic.
Yeah, a goddess wouldn't really show interest in a low-level wizard apprentice. Basically.
No, I don't. I mean, this you could have the story happen, but I think that it's unlikely. But he became romantically entangled with a goddess, and for some reason she just kind of ditched him, and he's been trying to win her affections back somehow. And he's done a bit of a whoopsie.
Yeah, I think there's something about him though. I think he's just he's a time bomb waiting to go off, is Gale.
What?
Yeah, I meant that literally.
Okay, yes.
He has a bomb inside of him.
He did some magical hoodwinking, and he's put a bomb in his chest by accident.
A Netherese destruction orb.
I mean, Netherese is very important, I think.
Yes.
We'll probably come to it a lot later because it's chunk of lore. It's big old lore.
It is big old lore. We maybe do a lore on Netherese.
Yes, but he's basically just put an artifact in him somehow.
Yep.
But it's going to kill him and probably blow up as well.
Unless
you feed him stuff.
You have to give him your magic items so he can eat them.
Fuck you, Larian.
I know. It's like when you get a really cool magic item and you're like, oh, this is maybe going to be really useful in a very niche scenario. It's not going to be useful all the time, so maybe I should feed it to Gale.
Gale's sitting there going, are you going to finish that?
Yeah.
So to keep this magic orb sated, you have to give him your stuff.
You have to give him your stuff, and he just absorbs it and is gone.
Eats it.
Yeah. And that stops him from blowing up and leveling a city, basically.
Sure.
Have you ever played in the early access with Gale in your party where he has died?
No.
I have once, but I read about it before that.
He has like a ghost that appears, or like some sort of image that appears.
Like a programmed illusion appears above his corpse. And this is when he dies. Mm-hmm. Above his corpse. And he instructs you. There's a very specific set of instructions you need to go through to take a pouch off of him and undo it in a certain way and read a certain scroll. And then you need to speak with a creature that it summons. I think it's like a mephit or something.
Oh, nice.
In a certain way, or it's an imp or something like that. And then it revives him.
Right.
And it brings him back to life, and it stops him from blowing up.
Can you blow it? Can Gale explode? Sure. He must be able to.
He must be able to. I never actually tried it. You should.
Oh well, we'll try it out. I'm sure. So yeah, what do you think of Gale? What's your overalls of Gale?
Gale, to me, the only drawback I have with Gale is that he's human. He can't see in the dark.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying.
Which is very important later on in the early access. Being able to see in the dark. It just makes his attacks a bit more useless. However, he's a wizard. I love wizards.
Yeah,
to me,
so much versatility.
To me, Gale's a must-have in the party.
Yeah, I think I like about Gale is that he is very knowledgeable, and he can give you a lot of information on what's going on. and he's obviously been around, and he knows what he knows a lot of different things, and he can be filling you in all the time.
Yeah. He might occasionally chip in on a conversation you're having with some knowledge because he knows it, or he's rolled high enough to know it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's great. I like Gale a lot. I'll always have him in my party. I'll always chat to him and see what it's about.
I do think, though, that there is something dark about Gale. The fact that he wants to be the most powerful wizard, and the old saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it could be potentially quite worrying to where he could go in that pursuit.
Yes.
But I had a scene happen with Gale. I forgot to feed him, pretty much. And I was playing, and in camp, he was really cross with me because I hadn't been feeding him. And then he said, he kind of insinuated, he was like, I had to go elsewhere to get the magic items.
Oh, yes. I do think I've seen this, maybe on YouTube, though.
And he insinuates that he's maybe made a deal with something. Mm-hmm. That he's gone off and done a deal.
Yeah. So if you don't feed him, he won't blow up. He'll just maybe go off.
Dislike you more. Or leave your party, because they can potentially all do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like having Gale in the party, but I feel that there's something about him, even in the early access. I feel like I'm getting the grips of a lot of the characters, but Gale is the one that I'm unsure on. I feel like there's going to be some twist to his story. There's probably going to be a twist to all their stories, but Gale is the one that I'm already got a slanty eye at.
Absolutely. I love Gale.
Yeah, he's top lad. So
what's next in the alphabet?
Okay, we're not talking about Karlach today, are we?
I don't think we need to. We spoke about Karlach quite a bit, and we don't know a whole lot about her.
So she's going to be an origin character, but we just don't. We've met, and you've met her.
Yeah. Yes, you have met her. That's a good point. She's changed a lot from her early character models. Though.
Oh, I forgot to say, Gale has too.
Yeah, they all have changed a fair bit. Gale's undergone quite a lot of changes, I think, from his early character model. Mm-hmm. Karlach was just a boring, generic tiefling. They made mention to her having half a horn, but she had 2 full horns.
That's right.
And it was very clear when you met her for the first time, very early on, that she was more important than the game at that time let on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think we don't. I don't think we know enough. We know her kind of general gist. She was a warrior in the Blood War in the Nine Hells.
Yeah,
and she's escaped, and she's kind of got wrapped up in this whole Mind Flayer Tadpole business. Mm-hmm. But apart from that, we've not played as her. We've not seen her in action. We've not had conversations with her really, apart from the short conversation you have. So I think we'll skip her, and we'll probably come back. We'll probably cover all of the characters in more depth later as we discover them and learn more about them. I just really want to talk about some Kresh. Some Kresh action.
Go find a Kresh.
Gotta find a Kresh. So if we're skipping Karlach, the next letter in the alphabet. So yeah, we're talking about a frog. Frog next, starting with L.
They do kind of look like frogs.
Yeah, we're talking about Lae'zel.
Lae'zel. Who was Lae'zel?
Lae'zel, she's the weirdest of all of them. She is a Githyanki.
Yes.
Which is interesting. And she's a fighter. She's a fighter warrior woman.
Yeah. I like the Gith.
Yeah.
In general, in D&D, I think they're quite interesting. They have a very important history with the Mind Flayers. Mm-hmm. The Gith as a people. They were enslaved to the Mind Flayers and then fought for their freedom. Mm-hmm. And they, the best among them, wield silvered swords and ride red dragons and hunt Mind Flayers through the plains.
There's so much lore. This is because the thing that's so weird about her as a choice as a main character, and not at the same time, is that she's technically an alien.
Technically, yes. It's that weird space in D&D where, aliens are a thing, kind of, but not really.
But not really. Yeah, it's more of like this is big lore, folks. But there's a lot of different planes and layers to the multiverse.
Yeah, and we'll get into. I think we can have a whole episode on the Gith and Mind Flayers.
Yeah, totally. And the Gith come from a specific plane, where the Mind Flayers come from too, and they have a whole history. Do you know where the dragons come from that they ride?
No.
The Githyanki did a deal with Tiamat, baby. Tiamat's one of my favourite Nemesis in Dungeons and Dragons. We'll talk about her later. I'm sure she'll crop up.
Yeah. If you don't already know, five-headed dragon goddess. Continue.
She's awesome. But yeah, so when the game was kind of, when we were getting the first kind of trailers and that big first cinematic trailer, and the kind of she's quite prominent in the initial trailer.
She is.
You see her getting the Mind Flayer tadpole put in her noggin.
You see part of her perspective.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, oh, of course. I mean, they're not the Gith are not part of kind of the baseline Dungeons and Dragons game.
No,
they're in you get them in supplements. So the fact that they were there with the Mind Flayers was like, okay, that makes sense. Bring them in. I think it's interesting that she's not from the material plane. She's not from Faerun. So her perspective, her whole journey is from a completely different place. And Lae'zel is a massive, 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 massive bitch.
She is. She's not nice. She's just you can break down her walls slowly.
I don't have time for her walls.
There is a early access under construction sex scene with Lae'zel.
I mean, she's just up for it. She's just like, this is function, mate. I don't really care. You fought really well. Let's bone.
And obviously, Lae'zel being a Githyanki, being sworn enemies of the Mind Flayers, the Illithid, has an Illithid tadpole in her brain, which should turn her into a Mind Flayer.
It's a conundrum.
It's a conundrum. She'd rather die. Anyone would rather die, but she's probably the most prepared out of all of your companions to just kill herself and you.
To fall on her sword, yeah. I think she's tried to kill me a few times.
Yeah, there's a cutscene when you're in camp where she does try, and you can talk her out of it. I've never failed to do that.
I think she has just tried to fight me. I think I've just got into combat with Lae'zel at some stage.
Oh yeah, you can really piss her off, and you go back to camp. She just tries to kill you.
Yeah, she's difficult. She's a difficult character, and she's an interesting character. I think the most interesting thing about her is that she's an alien, and I think she has like she has the full realization of what could happen to her and you.
Yeah, like Gale has the academic knowledge of what's going to happen to you. Lae'zel has the experience. Yeah. She has grown up with these people that fight these things. That's their purpose. Yeah. She wants to find a creche because a creche has a cure. So you got to find a creche. Go to the creche.
Are we going to a creche? Find the creche.
Can we go to the creche now, please? Interesting, though, that you do meet some of her people in the early access. Yeah. You meet some Gith, and they are not nice.
Nope, but they're just like her. But then even she's like, these guys are assholes.
Yes, it's interesting. You think she's a bitch. They're on another level.
Yeah, so she's like, hang on a minute. There's something going on with the Gith that you're not sure where that kind of is at the moment.
But where does Lae'zel kind of land in your party composition? Do you take her? Do you not?
With all the companions, I take them depending on the kind of situation and what's happening. I probably take Lae'zel the least.
Yes, she's a fighter. I don't know if we said that. She's a fighter.
That's she's a fighter. She fights, and I mean, she's great. She's really good to have.
She's very good at it. I think if you were playing a fighter, you don't need two fighters.
No, you don't need them. And I just feel that in terms of personality, she's definitely the hardest to gel with.
Yeah, the hardest to please.
And she's just constantly just name calling you and just insinuating that you're not adequate and that you're not up to the challenge. She's just full on.
Yeah, like if you even hint that you want to, like Astarion, kind of control this Mind Flayer tadpole, she doesn't like it. If you go along with someone else and say that you should find a healer to heal yourself of this tadpole, she doesn't like that. The only solution is finding this bloody crash.
It's all she talks about, and it's I think I have plans for Lae'zel in one of my playthroughs, especially.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of like as a character, I just don't think she's got that much going on. Like the other ones all the other characters seem to have a lot of crazy things.
I think she's going to maybe be a bit more important in Act 2 and 3.
So compared to the other companions that we've kind of spoken about already, I mean, Astarion's a sexy vampire man with an infernal contract on his back, and he's kind of experiencing life for the first time. He's all this stuff. You've got Gale, who's got a bomb in his chest, and there's something else about him. Compared to those two, she hasn't really got anything interesting going on.
She doesn't have a lot going on, no. She is... They put an alien face on the typical human fighter with not much backstory.
Yeah.
She does have quite a bit of backstory, but
I'm sure there will be, but there's just at where we're at in the story. She's just an antithesis to the Mind Flayers.
Mm-hmm. For the early access portion of the game, I'd say she's the least interesting.
I totally agree with that.
I think as the game unfolds as a whole, I think she's going to be very important. I think they all will. I'm torn on Lae'zel. Sometimes I like her, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I take her just because I need a fighter in the party.
Yep, that's kind of where I'm at as well.
Yeah.
If you need someone to hit harder than everyone else, she's great. And I mean, and she hates you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, she hates us as players, but if she hates anyone more, it's our next character, the lovely Shadowheart.
Yes, Shadowheart. And what a name. I wonder if we're going to find out her real name.
That is, I just thought about that for the first time a few days ago.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking to myself, that can't be her real name.
Yeah. Oh, what a beautiful baby girl. What should we call her? Shadowheart.
and that is something interesting with Shadowheart, is that she knows very little about herself.
Yeah, and that's how she introduces herself.
Sure.
Shadowheart, yeah.
So who is Shadowheart? What is her? What is there? What does she do?
So Shadowheart is a high half-elf.
Yes.
She was a half-elf of the high variety. And she is a cleric of Shar.
That's a secret.
She's a cleric.
There's no way you could have known this.
Yeah. It's nothing to do with the, Sharite armor she wears.
Nothing to do with the symbols of Shar all over her.
Yeah. Who is Shar, Drew?
Whoa, that's lots of lore.
Is that another lore episode question?
That's going to be big. That's big lore, son. But extensively, Shar is a really, really, really evil goddess. She's but
Shadowheart's so nice.
Is she? Can she be? Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Shar.
You can share a beer with her.
Yeah, Shar's an interesting goddess because she presents herself as a caring, nurturing mother, but she really just kind of wants to emphasize your despair and your loss. And she basically wants the universe to end. She wants the universe over. She hates it.
Oh, wow.
That's her deal. So I don't know. There's a lot of lore. She's very close to Mystra. Her and Mystra are tied together really tight.
So Gale and Shadowheart might have some interesting interactions.
Which, yeah, again, I've only really started to think about.
I think he recognises kind of not who she is, but what she is when you first meet. Because he says that, a lady with shadows for eyes. Mm-hmm. And there's a dialogue up. I always thought that was maybe just like a glitch in the early access, and Shadowheart's maybe meant to have like black eyes, but he meant it more metaphorically. Because there is a dialogue option with them later on. The two of them are traveling around, and she mentions something about how he knew like what she was because he mentioned the shadow of her eyes, and he mentions that he knows about Shar quite a lot.
Shar is definitely a known goddess, and she's very mistrusted, and nobody likes Shar. The majority of people do not like Shar because of what she represents and what she kind of stands for on the whole. So it's very interesting that one of your companions is a follower of this goddess.
Yeah. And Shar not only has a connection to Gale with the Mystra connection, she has a pretty serious connection with the party member that she gets along with least, which is Lae'zel, because Shadowheart has a strange artifact.
Yeah, it seems to be following some of the developer interviews and things. The artifact that she carries is vital to the plot.
Yes, they call it the box,
and we don't know what it does or why.
There's a great video where the developer, Sven, he discusses the box. And the box is so important that you have to get it. It's railroading to get the box. But there's so many different ways in which you can actually, if you don't release Shadowheart at the beginning of the game, if you don't go and see her and recruit her into your party on the beach, if you just skip all that, she appears at the Druid Grove. If you just miss that, if you miss everything, there's a very important cutscene. She just shows up.
Yeah, she appears.
She's just like,
she runs in.
I'm here to save you.
I'm here, everybody.
Yeah. If you kill her, the box just comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot avoid the box.
And she has it.
And she has it.
But the really interesting about the fact that she's a priestess, a cleric of Shar, is that she doesn't know who she is.
Yes.
Because Shar, a part of her worship is that if you fall into her worship, she'll take your memories away.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need to lose them. You can get rid. So when you meet Shadowheart, she's done a mission. She's done something. She's got this box. But other than that, she has no sense of her personality or her history or where she's come from. She knows that she likes certain things, and she knows that she has certain skills and things, but she doesn't really. There's a lot missing.
Yeah, and the box that she carries, I think it's Githyanki script on it.
I think we know it's Githyanki.
Yeah, so
or tied to the Gith.
It's a Githyanki artifact, and it does help you, I guess, resist the tadpoles.
We don't know.
Or it helps you resist the absolute. Which I think is that cutscene that is very important. That she just shows up.
She'll just appear.
Yeah. So it's important to the main plot, I think.
And also Shadowheart. I mean, Shadowheart. She says that what she's trying to get the artifact to Baldur's Gate. Mm-hmm. She's to meet someone in Baldur's Gate, and that's kind of her deal.
Yeah.
I mean, on the face, there's not a lot to Shadowheart.
No, she's very distrusting, as you said. You can break down those walls quite slowly. There's no romance really with Shadowheart in the early access. You can share a bottle of wine, and that's about it.
Give it a wee smooch.
Oh yeah, do give her a wee smooch.
Yeah,
but that's about it. But
I find Shadowheart the most interesting character.
You do. I think you find her a lot more interesting than I do.
I love her. I think it's because she's a bit of a bitch, but not a huge bitch.
Mm-hmm.
She's quite sassy, but also like flirty at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
And she's always about questioning your own judgment. She's always kind of trying to get you to, like, are you doing the right thing? And she kind of comes at it from that angle. And then as the story develops in the early access, she actually kind of has a much softer side that she has this like front up, but it comes down a lot easier than Lyselle's. There's a really great sequence in the kind of romance options where she kind of says that she cares about the tieflings in the Druid Grove.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where she says, I didn't think I would care for them, but I do.
She worships this dark, evil goddess, but she's a good person, I think.
That's the thing about her that's interesting, is that she approves of good acts.
There's a theory that I have read that she is a spy for Selûne or Selûne.
Well, the theory that I've heard is that she was a worshipper of Selûne.
Yeah.
She's
the opposite of Shar, essentially.
Yes, Selûne they're basically creation goddesses. They kind of started at the same time. Selûne and Shar are sisters, and Selûne is lightness and Shar is darkness, pretty much. And this kind of comes about when you've come into like the Blighted Village, which is a destroyed town, and there is a destroyed statue of Selûne. The Shadowheart reacts to it strangely, and it actually like manifests in a strange way.
Yeah. And she doesn't want to talk about it.
I don't think she knows what it is. If there's a part where you're walking across the street of this destroyed town, and she says she recognizes the place. She's familiar with it almost. She's like, I played this game. There's like a hopscotch chalk line on the path, and she's like, did I play this?
Okay, yeah, okay.
She's like, she kind of recognizes it. So yeah, I I could go on about Shadowheart for ages. I love her.
You could. I think we could do, as we explore these more and more, we can do a deep dive on probably each companion is their own episode.
Oh, totally. I think we will have to. I think we'll have to at some point.
We'll have to at some point. I mean that's it, right? That's all the interesting origin characters that there is. Those 5.
I think so. I think we're done. I think we're done, guys. Karlach, Astarion, Shadowheart, Gale, and Lae'zel.
Yeah, exactly.
We're done here.
Oh,
see you next week.
Hold on.
Wait, what?
We're forgetting, because he is forgettable, Will.
Ah, poor Will.
Poor Will. Will is... Yeah, he is quite forgettable, because I think he should be interesting, but the early access he's left lacking.
Yeah, it's strange. Will seems to have everything going for him.
Yeah.
But just the balls dropped somewhere. And Laren have admitted this.
Oh yeah, he's born into nobility. He's the Blade of Frontiers. He's a hero.
Yeah, he's an established hero.
Yeah, but he's got a pact with the devil.
Yep.
That gives him warlock powers.
Yes.
He's got a pact with a Cambion, I believe.
As far as we know, yeah.
And he's got a Sending Stone for an eye.
There's so much cool stuff.
This should all be so interesting, but it's just
he's
not.
So cool, but he's so lame. But he's so cool.
What have Larian done, Drew?
They've redid him.
They've changed him. He's still that noble hero who's made a pact with the devil.
Mm.
But they've basically rewritten him. They didn't do Will justice, they said.
I think so. I think there's lots of interesting things about Will, and talking to him and finding out these things about him. But I don't know what it was. I don't know. There needed to be more.
I didn't take Will in my party, really, ever. Which is odd, because Warlocks are really good, and the way the game works,
cool.
They depend on short rests quite a lot, and Warlocks are great, but Will is I was just bored with him. I didn't care. They've changed a lot about him. They've even changed his voice actor.
That's interesting too. Yeah,
I think
I really liked his voice too.
His voice is fine, yeah. But I think they changed the voice actor because they've rewritten him so much that the original voice actor just probably wasn't available to record all the new dialogue. So he's got a new voice actor. Which you can. There's a little animated video Larian put out about the party just messing about, and you can hear him in there, and he is different.
Oh, is that the new guy?
Yeah, that's a new Will. But yeah, Will should be very interesting. But they changed a lot about him, so I'm actually more interested in him now. Yeah. I was very interested in him, and then I started playing the game, and I was just like, I don't really care.
Yeah, his backstory's cool. He was a noble, and his village was raided by goblins, and in that moment, he did he stand up to them? They beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, and he got tortured by the goblins. And
yeah, they took his eye out, and
they basically left him all changed?
I don't know. We'll see. They took his eye out and they left him for dead. And in that moment, he was approached by a very seductive devil woman. And she said, I can make you a hero in exchange for your soul.
Yeah.
And he fell for it.
He fell for it hard.
And now he's tied to this devil, and it's very much his. He's wanting to get rid. He's kind of invested in the goblin aspect of the early access, but that there's something going on with his patron.
Yeah,
that's more to do with the grander story, and he's very keen to find her and try and find a way to end his pact. I'm
now more interested to learn more about Will again, because we can't really say a lot about him because we don't know a lot about him because they've changed him, they've rewritten him.
He's different.
Yeah.
The thing I did like, or I don't know if I did like about Will, is that I did take him in my party quite a bit, and he's a character that just seems to have a darkness about him.
Mm-hmm. In the early access, though, he is, I think, the only. Well, Lae'zel can attack you and try and kill you, but he's the only character that can leave you.
Really?
Because if you choose not to help the tieflings and the druids, and you slaughter the druids and the tieflings, he leaves.
Curious.
Which is, it's something Larian said is throughout the game. You can piss them off enough that they will leave you, or they will try and kill you. Yeah.
And because he's got that in the early access anyway. He's got this vibe of like, I'm the hero. I'm this kind of boisterous, and he's the face of the party. He's haha, I'm hero man. But as you kind of get into his backstory in early access, he's weaker than he appears.
Maybe I haven't noticed that because I haven't taken him with me a lot, because I also think he's weak mechanically. He's just not great.
For like they didn't implement the Pact of the Blade Warlock in early access.
No.
So you're missing out on. He's meant to be a martial character, but he's missing his martialness.
Yeah, I wasn't a great fan of Will, but I'm looking forward now to learning more about him and having him in my party. And I think, change them out a bit more than I did in early access. I kind of just stick to one group and the other, and then I have two people who just sit at camp and wait all the time. But I want to play about with that a lot more.
Yeah, I think I do that anyway. I really like pondering. Like, if I know what the kind of quest is I'm going on, I'll ponder who's best fitted, both narratively and also mechanically. Who's probably going to have the most to say about this, and also who's going to be able to benefit me. So when dealing with the goblin situation in early access, I took Will with me because he's the one that tells you to go on the quest.
Yeah, fair. To be honest, I've never done that. I know he's the one that tells you go kill these 3 bosses at the goblin camp. And I've never bothered to take him with me to help.
Well, it makes sense that he comes in my opinion. So
things like that.
So I change up a lot. I change up who I'm taking with me a lot.
Yeah.
But usually there is a core 2 members that come all the time, and that's Gale and Shadowheart.
Yeah. Yes, I would agree. Gale and Shadowheart, I always have them because I like the wizardness and I like the clericness. And I also think that if I play as a cleric, it's always cleric. Like, I could happily have 2 clerics in a party. It's
all
so
those
good.
heals.
Oh yeah, not even heals, just clerics have so much. They're great.
They are very good, and I really want to explore as much of the characters as I can. So, I mean, it might be the fact that in my main playthrough, I might have to skip one of the characters. Maybe that's the character I'll play in the second playthrough as an origin character, because you can play as all of these characters.
Yeah, we haven't really got into that. You don't have to create a custom character. You can play as these guys that we just talked about.
Sure.
Any one of them can be your starting character.
Which is cool. I think
cool.
I'm looking forward to coming in as my own character, but I think all these characters are deep enough and interesting enough that I would play as any one of them.
Yep.
Because I think there'll be elements to their characters that we, even though their secrets are very obvious, there'll be elements of them that we do not understand, and you'll get in their own head, in their own dialogue, once you kind of take them on as a character.
Yeah. But that is all the origin characters done.
Yep, that's them.
Yeah, we will.
As a bunch, what do you think about, like, as a party, like as a group composition? What do you think?
It is you look at them, and it's a typical D&D adventuring party. You have what you need in that party. You have a healer. If you need a healer, you have a healer. You have a full spellcaster. You have your hard-hitting barbarian, you have your fighter, you have your sneaky rogue, and then you've got Will.
Hey, warlocks are cool.
No, warlocks are really cool. I do love warlocks.
He's underpowered right now because it takes him a bit of time. They have to warm up. But they're all human-y people. 2 humans, 2 elves. I don't know, I like all the characters, I think they're great, but I was like, could we have had a bit more of a variety? Where's the dwarf?
Yeah.
No dwarf.
And
Where's the dwarf
that's even true in the, and we'll get on to this later too, in the recruitable companions. Mm-hmm. There was no small races.
Where's your halflings at? I've come up with a theory since last we chatted.
Yep.
I think Sven is speciest
towards halflings and gnomes.
Yeah, I think he's got he's got a hidden agenda. He wants rid of them all. So yeah, I think as a composition, it's everything you need, and it's a good spread, and I'm looking forward to getting into all their business.
Yeah, there's nothing there that you're lacking.
Yeah.
So going into the game, you don't need to worry too much about what you're going to make to make up for a gap in the party, because you can fill that with any composition of these guys.
Sure. But no, they're all really interesting characters, and really kind of just I want the game in my hands now.
Yes.
I imagine all this we've talked about will probably be obsolete. They'll be completely different.
Oh, possibly, yeah. So if you're listening to this after August, I'm sorry. Speaking of listeners, Drew.
Yeah, what's up?
We have some
people listen to this.
People have been listening to this, which I'm very thankful for. I'm quite surprised about. But yeah, I'm very thankful for. So if you have listened to episode 1 and 2 and you're now listening to episode 3, thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
We did this. We're doing this really just an excuse to kind of chat to each other. But I think if we keep getting views, we'll keep doing it. Listens.
Because if we weren't getting any views, why are we talking?
What's the point? I don't like your company that much.
Why am I prioritising you over other things?
Over your wife and kids?
Yeah, over my wife and kids, yeah, sure. So if you want to keep this relationship blossoming between these two friends, listen and like and subscribe. Yeah,
do all that stuff.
Hit the bell icon.
Hit the bell, whatever the bell is.
You're doing socials, Andrew. What is this?
So yeah, we're out on Spotify at the moment, and Spotify for podcasters. We are just straight out of Avernus, and that's Outa, Outda, a Baldur's Gate 3 podcast. We're on YouTube as the same, straight out of Avernus, a Baldur's Gate 3 podcast. We have a TikTok, which I've put a total of 1 video on currently, which is just something I was messing about in Baldur's Gate 3, and I did a thing that everyone knows about already. It's like an exploit in the tomb.
Get ready for more gripping content on TikTok.
We are straight out of Avernus is our TikTok. If you want to follow our TikTok, I have a total of 1 video on there.
Anything else, Andrew?
Yes, we are on Instagram, or we will be
in this social media hellscape.
Hold on, we will be on Instagram. I don't know
why
I'm
doing it just now.
I'm literally setting it up right now.
Nice. This is live, folks.
What do you want our name to be? Just straight out of Avernus.
Yeah. This is all staying in, by the way. Yeah. As we set up our Instagram.
I've been slacking a bit. Straight out of Avernus. It's available.
Yes.
No numbers or exclamation marks needed. Password. This bill got cut. Not even you get to know my password for this.
Oh, really?
No, absolutely not.
To be fair, I am about as interested in social media as I am in Will's character in Early Access.
Well, you're not a social media. Do you have a social media presence at all? I'm not asking you to give out your information. Just do.
Not really.
No. I can't be bothered. No, I don't want to follow my friends yet. Skip.
I mean, I don't care about other people, so why should anyone care about what I'm having in restaurants?
There we go. We are on Instagram.
What's that at?
It's at Straight Outta Avernus.
Wow.
We currently have no followers. We're not following anybody, and we don't even have a profile picture. But,
do we have Twitter?
Nah.
Are we doing Twitter?
I don't know. I think Twitter's kind of dying. Threads is a new thing. Instagram Threads.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like Instagram's Twitter.
How's that doing?
Don't know. But that's it. Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and now Instagram.
At Straight Out of Avernus.
At Straight Outta Avernus.
Wow, we did it, folks.
Did it. We're hip.
We've done it. So is that it? Is this the end?
I think that's it. I think this is the end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Thank you for bearing with us. And we'll come back soon. We'll jump back on that Nautiloid. Get straight into Avernus and straight into another episode. So thank you very much from me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much from me. We'll see you next time on Straight Outta Avernus, a Baldur's Gate 3 podcast.
Bye!
Goodbye.